Good morning, everyone. I got some positive feedback for the video from yesterday, 12.4. So today I'm going to make a video for 12.8, units of time. This is going to be best if you have a paper and pencil with you, something to write on, something to write with, so that we can do these together. I would recommend pausing the video at the times when you need to figure out a problem. Feel free to pause the video and then come back to it once you've got your answer down, and we can check over it together. So use this time, pause the video, and get a pencil and paper, or a pen or a marker, whatever you want. Okay. Something else about this lesson. In fourth grade, we don't really do much with actually telling time. This would be a really, really good time to go back and review. Do you know how to tell time? And I will give some resources for practicing that. Okay, so today we're working on converting units of time. Now, yesterday we talked about what units were. Units are the things that we use to measure something. So today we're measuring time. And as you're probably more familiar with, we measure time we can measure in seconds, we can measure it in minutes, we can measure it in hours. You're more familiar with these units. So just as I gave yesterday, you'll have a chart on your Google form that tells you the basic conversions for all the units. Again, the only one that should probably maybe feel new to you is this last one here. 1 year is 52 weeks. But for the most part, this should look pretty familiar. Okay, so use this chart to help you. It will be on your Google form. When you go to do Think Central, you might want to, before you go to the personal math trainer, you may want to copy this chart down to help you solve the problem. So I would recommend that. Okay, so today I'm just going to do a lot of examples with you. Okay, the first question we have is how many seconds are in 5 minutes? Now this is exactly like what we did yesterday, except instead of doing units of liquid volume, we're doing units of time. So again, the first question that you should be asking yourself, if you don't know how many seconds are in 5 minutes, you ask yourself, okay, how many seconds are in 1 minute? You look over at your chart. There's 60 seconds in 1 minute. So you write that down. Okay, so 1 minute is 60 seconds. So to find out how many seconds are in 5 minutes, you just do 60 times 5. Now the easiest way to do this, because there's that 0 there in the one spot, you do 5 times 6, which equals 30, and add a 0 to it. So it's 300. So in 5 minutes, there are 300 seconds. It's just basic multiplication, just like what you did yesterday. Okay? All right, so there's that first example. The second one another basic one, and then we'll get a little bit tougher here. So how many months are in 10 years? Well, according to your chart, sorry, in 1 month in 1 year there are 12 months. So in 1 year there are 12 months. And so to find out how many months are in 10 years, you do 12 times 10. I know 12 times 1 is 12, and then I just add a 0 to it. So it's 120. So there are 120 months in 10 years. Next example. Now we're getting a little bit tougher. Your Think Central definitely has some complicated questions on it, so I want to get into those. Here's the example I have. how many hours are in 1 week? Now the reason why this is a little bit more difficult is because when you look over at your chart, it doesn't say how many hours are in 1 week. It says how many days are in 1 week, and then it says in 1 day there are 24 hours, but this first step is a little bit more difficult because it doesn't say it right here. So I'm going to take it step by step. I need to get from this one, I need to get from weeks to hours over here. So this is going to be kind of a multi-step equation. So here's what I can do. I can go from weeks to days and then days to hours. It's going to be multi-step. So I don't know how many hours are in 1 week, but I do know how many days are in 1 week, and then I can get a little bit smaller. So in 1 week, there are 7 days. I also know in 1 day, there are 24 hours. So you have 7 groups with 24 hours in each group. 7 days, 24 for each day. So if we're talking about equal groups, if we're talking about each one having the same amount, what you're going to do is you're going to multiply that 7 by that 24. It's 7 days with 24 in each day. So 7 times 24. And go ahead and pause the video if you need to write this problem vertically and figure out the answer to that multiplication equation. Okay, so I wrote it vertically. I did 4 times 7, which is 28. I put my 8 here, carried my 2. And then 7 times 2 is 14, plus another 2 is 16. So the answer is 168. So in 1 week, there are 168 hours. So that one was a multi-step equation. You again had to go from weeks to days and then from days to hours. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I'm missing a paper, I think. Here it is. Okay, some other types of equations that you might come across are ones where you need to put which is greater than and which is less than. So, if I have this problem right here, 5 years, is that greater than, less than, or equal to 42 months? The way to figure these types of problems out is to get them into the same unit. So I want these either to both be years or for them to both be months. It's going to be a lot easier for you to go from the biggest unit to the smaller unit. So let's make these years into months. We can do that pretty easily. So if you need to pause the video to figure that out, we're trying to figure out in 5 years, how many months is that? Okay, so think about how many months are in 1 year and then multiply it. So I'm going to do the work on here as well. So I'm going to write down in 1 year, there are 12 months. In 1 year, there are 12 months. So figure out how many months are in 5 years. If you need to write 12 times 5 vertically so that you can figure out that problem, please feel free. If you need to pause it, please feel free. Okay, so my answer, I knew that in 1 year, I knew that in 1 year there are 12 months, and so I did 12 times 5, which is 60 months. So now I still have to answer this problem. What I'm going to do is, now I know how many months are in 5 years. So I'm going to cross out that 5 years and write 60 months above it. Now that they're the same unit, I'm in a lot better shape. Okay, so now I can put my greater than, less than, or equal to symbol. And your little Pac-Man, alligator guy, whatever you want to call him, should be trying to eat the 60 months because it's bigger. So 60 months is greater than 42 months. Okay? Now for an example word problem. Of course, I love my dog, so my first word problem is based on Griffey. Okay, so here's the word problem. Griffey has had his favorite toy for 12 weeks. His last toy lasted for 92 days. Which toy lasted longer, toy 1 or toy 2? If you don't want me to walk you through this, if you are confident in your abilities right now and you want to pause the video and try and figure this out, please do so. But right now I'm going to walk us through this. So, his first toy lasted 12 weeks. I'm going to call it toy 1. His second toy lasted 92 days. I want to figure out which one lasted longer. This is just like the question that we just did, where we have the two different measurements and we need to put them into the same unit. So I have weeks and days. I need to get those weeks to be days because those are the bigger one. I want to make the weeks unit into a smaller unit of days. So I'm going to find out how many days are in 12 weeks. How many days are in 12 weeks? So ask yourself, how many days are in 1 week? And then multiply that by 12. Okay? How many days are in 1 week? And then multiply that by 12. So when I do that, (12 times 7 is 84. In 1 week, there's 7 days. So in 12 weeks, there's 84 days. So if I go back and see, now I have toy 1 is 84 days. 12 weeks is the same as 84 days. And toy 2 has lasted for 92 days. So again, my question was, which toy lasted longer, toy 1 or toy 2? Circle the one on your paper that lasted longer. You should have circled toy 2. That lasted 92 days. Notice how much easier it is once you have them in the same unit. If we have these both as days, it's going to be a lot easier. It's going to make a lot more sense. So get them into the same unit. Okay? All right. The last question that I'm going to do with you is the one that I was super challenged by when I went through the Think Central lesson for 12-8. It's number 9, I believe, on the Think Central personal math trainer. So here was the question. Parker was born February 29th, 2008. The third time he is able to celebrate his birthday is in 2020. How many days old will Parker be on February 29th, 2020? So the first thing you have to understand about this question is leap years. So leap years happen every 4 years, right? 4 years? Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. Every 4 years. And it's basically, on those leap years, we add an extra day to the calendar. So every other year, there's not a February 29th on the calendar. But for leap years, so like every other year, February ends on February 28th. But on leap years, it ends on February 29th. So every so often, every 4 years, you have one extra day, February 29th. Now, first of all, can you imagine being a leap year child and for your whole life, every 4 years is the only time when your birthday is actually exists. Okay, so just imagine that. Try and picture in your head what a leap year is. It's every 4 years there's an extra day. Okay, so the problem that you're given tells you how many days are in 1 year and then how many days would be in one leap year. So in 1 year, there are 365 days. In one leap year, there are 366 days. So they add an extra day to that. The reason that they do that is because of, I don't know, for a lot. I don't know. Why do they do that?
Because I think it's because a year is actually a little bit longer than 365 days. And so they have to.
As Mr. Steele says, whatever. You don't have to understand that for this question. But for this, it tells us how many days are in 1 year and how many days are in one leap year. So we want to find out how many days old Parker will be on February 29th, 2020. He's actually only had, by that time, he'll have had 3 actual birthdays. 3 times when his birthday would have actually existed because of leap years. So the first thing I want to do is I want to find out, how old is he going to be? How many years old will he be by that date of February 29th, 2020? Okay, so he was born on this date, and this would be one of his birthdays. We have to find out how many years old he would be. So the way that you would do that is you would subtract to find out how many years old he would be. So do 2020 minus 2008 to figure how many years old he would be by that time. Pause the video if you need to. Okay, so mine says 0012. That means that he would be 12 years old at that time. Okay, 12 years old. So in that time, he would have only celebrated his actual birthday. 3 of those years would have been leap years. Okay, 3 of those years would have been leap years, because it said the third time he's able to celebrate his birthday is in 2020. 3 times would have been leap years. The other times would have been normal years. So let's take 3 of these 12 years and find out how many days that would be. So if I take 3 of the 12, I'm going to take away, I'm going to do 12 minus 3, and I get 9. So I'm going to take away 3 of those years. I'm going to do 3 times, for each of those 3 years, there would be 366 days. So I'm going to do 366 times 3. Go ahead and at this time, figure out how many days would be in each of those leap years. 3 times 366. Pause the video if you need to. So I got, in those 3 years, there was 1,098 days. Now I've got to take care of the rest of those 9 years. So I took care of 3 of them, and now I have to take care of the rest of them. So every other year, the rest of those 9 years, there were 365 days. So let's do 365 times 9. So when I did 365 times 9, I got 3,285. Now I have this amount, and I have this amount. What do I do to figure out how many days that would be in all, to find out how many days old he would be? I add them. So for your last step, you would add 3,285 plus 1,098. Now, hopefully I can leave you alone for that step, so I'm not giving you the entire answer. But maybe that will help you on your Think Central problem. That is really, really difficult. Okay, you should be set. Thanks for sticking with me for all these examples. I hope you have a great day.